Let me see. Yes, started. I'm going to fill folks in on what's happening. So my name is Jonesy Thompson, by the way, in case anyone's jumping on who doesn't already know me. And although this has nothing really to do with essential oils, I'm an essential oil spy, I say, and I try to scope out solutions for people for their health and peace of mind. So that's my life, but I really lately have had on my mind body image, making choices for the new year, and along with that, it comes along Aleah. And tell me your last name, Aleah, so I'll say it right.
It's definitely not the most common. It's Oas.
Oas. Spell it.
Oas. It's
O-A-S.
Norwegian, so.
Okay, so cool. Awesome. So Aleah has been a friend for a few months now. And going back to thinking about body image and the new year, I kicked off an event. It's just basically a discussion. So it's a Facebook event that is a discussion about these topics. And because Facebook has gotten wonky and won't let us go live together on Facebook, we're going live on Instagram and hoping to record this to my phone, which will then end up on Facebook. So if you are wanting to join in this conversation, you can do that by going to my bio, and there's a link there to join the event after this video. Don't miss this video. Go back and do it. And I think you'll get a lot of benefit out of it. Anyone who wants to hear, watch, contribute, chime in about what's going on with their body image and choices. So I've been connected with Aleah for several months now. Her handle is Hungry for Whole, in case you're new to Aleah. And getting to know Aleah, I learned very quickly that she is such an inward reflector, an observer of people all over, an empowerer of women constantly, and really conscious about food choice in a really cool way. So especially if you follow stories, I always like going on and seeing what Aleah's making today. I am one of those like foodie followers. Like I want to know, what's Aleah making? What's in her blender? Incidentally, what's your blender of choice? Do you have a Vitamix or a Ninja or what?
You know, I think this question is a fun but also funny one, because to me, I could go into an empowering tangent on anything. I think at the end of the day, you know, blender shouldn't be the thing that kind of holds us back. But with that said, I mean, I'm on a road trip now, so I don't have access to my blender. I could if I wanted to plug it in at this Airbnb. But since I pretty much use it every day, I do have a Vitamix. But I'm a thrifty person as well, which I think we have in common. And so they actually, through Vitamix, have awesome deals where you can get a refurbished one that's great quality for probably a fourth of the price. So that's what I have. And me being me, asked for that in college for like a birthday gift. So
that's great. Yeah, I love that. So refurbished is the way to go for that.
Right.
That's a great tip for other frugal people. I have a Ninja, and I don't use mine probably quite as often as you do, but I need to use it more often because my kids want these sugary treats, and but they do like a smoothie. So, and I can sneak some things into a smoothie to make sure they're getting their nutrients. So I need to make more use of the Ninja in the coming year. I think that's like a worthy goal. But going back to you as a person and who I have followed and really valued your posts a lot and learned a lot from. I know other people will as well. And just to say exactly what you do, you help women in this, stop that struggle with food and step into their honest self, their highest self. And I think that's so amazing that that's where your empowerment path has led you. Because I've kind of watched you empower women in so many ways, but have really watched you come into that side of things. And you definitely have touched me in that way. So I'm so grateful, and so grateful that you were willing to come on and share with us just your thoughts. And I'm new to interviewing, so I ask for grace for anyone catching this interview. I'm new to it. I'm really excited. I think you're maybe my second live interview ever. So I'm really pumped.
Well, you're doing great, and I'm very grateful to be here.
Thank you. I'm so excited. So one thing that I mentioned in my video that I did yesterday solo, I mentioned your perspective about New Year's in a post. I thought it was so relevant the other day, which is like New Year's is a kicking off point for us. And it's really great that we have it, but do we esteem it too highly? Like, what was your thought about that?
I think that's a really good question. And I feel like one of my gifts, you know, I think part of the process of stepping into your own power is just stepping into your gifts and acknowledging them. And I think I used to be uncomfortable sharing that, but I try to give power to myself where it's due, because then we can kind of be our highest self, right? And one of my gifts is the fact that I feel like I'm very in tune with what other people are thinking and feeling, and maybe having painful experiences going through, but I also feel like I have the ability to take a perspective out of that. And, you know, I completely recognize the significance of a new year. I think that we can take for it, you know, the beauty that it can be and the opportunity that it can be to be a new, fresh start. But I also understand that for most people, it's very easy to get caught up in that lack of grace mindset of, I screwed up so much last year, how can I fix that? And I think I was really speaking on the fact that since this is a new decade, it's not just a new year, there's a lot of extra added pressure, I think. And with that can come a lot of anxiety of, you know, how am I going to measure up if, you know, just a few days ago I was doing A, but I want to be doing B. And I think that perspective alone can really get people stuck. And so I really, really like to try to bring about grace and perspective, because, you know, wherever I've been, whatever position I've been as far as empowering women, those have been two key ingredients.
I love that. I love that, because it's never like any point where we can't make a better choice. Like, right. I think we feel like I blew it for this year and it's only the second week of January and I've already blown it. No, you haven't blown it. You can start again anytime you want.
Exactly.
And you're not bound to that. And this is the thing too. Your identity is not in that moment of mess up or perceived mess up even. I think sometimes it's maybe what we've made it that really shouldn't have been in the first place, really. Depending on what the goal is. So yeah, I loved that. And I can see that that was maybe born out of your empathetic qualities. That's so amazing. That's true. I think that's why maybe so much of what you say resonates, is because it's empathy, and you and I think sometimes almost have a special psychic connection almost. Yeah, like I think we feel that. So that's amazing. I love that. And the other thing that I have really gotten from you, this is not so much a question as just I want to give you credit for it, as we eat well because we love our bodies and not because we hate it. Because, you know, this time of year, I think brings about that, like looking in the mirror, hating what you see, maybe, and you're in that place instead of the gratitude. How can we be more grateful and maybe approach it with love for our body?
This is possibly one of the most important things to kind of discuss around our bodies, because I think a lot of people think that when I am the size that I think I need to be, or I look the way I think I need to be, then I will love my body. Then I can be in this place of just feeding it what I want, having no stress around it. But in my experience, that's not the order that things go. I really have found that you have to start, we get to start with love and with grace. And that doesn't mean you have to want to accept the way you look or feel at that moment. But, you know, it's okay. It's okay to change sizes. It's okay to want to feel more fit and to feel more confident and to feel more sexy, to feel more in your body. That is so important. So I don't diminish that. But again, I think that the origin that we need to kind of start from in any journey in life is, again, one of love and grace. And I think you asked how. So I think I think one thing that I always remind myself of, because, you know, I think for women, we can say we are in a better place, and that's great, but it's a little bit like an addiction. Hating our body and having a struggle with food can be an addiction. And so with that said, we kind of have to always be aware of our tendencies to kind of move in more of a self-hatred, self-loathing direction. And so I remind myself my body is a vessel. And ultimately, like, I am a spiritual being in a material world, and my spiritual being is far outlasting my physical one. And while it is so important to take care of our physical one, because that is our vessel to bring forth all the beautiful things that we can as a human being, it's more important to focus on how we feel and what's going on inside than what's going on outside. Because we all know, and here, you know, beauty starts on the inside, and that kind of is going to radiate out from you. And I totally believe that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answered your question, but
yeah, I remember a while back you had people name 3 things they liked about their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, doggone it, why is she making me do this? But I really feel, because it was like kind of like, ooh, I knew I especially needed to do it.
Right.
And so I think sometimes maybe even as a part of daily gratitude, we should list something our body is or does that we appreciate, you know?
Yeah,
there's
totally.
a lot of wisdom in that, and like figuring out what is it that I like about my body or that I appreciate about it. And also too, do you find that maybe sometimes we feel guilt over our choices for food or lack of activity is natural, and then sometimes we feel social pressure or obligation to feel guilty about it? Do you feel that?
Oh yeah, I think, again, that's another really good point. I think especially if we're talking about New Year's, and for some reason I always connect New Year's with the diet industry, because that's kind of when, you know, they kind of run off of fear and making us dislike our body. And then when we dislike our body, what do we want to do? We want to change it. We want to invest in whatever that diet program is or whatever. And, you know, I'm a coach who serves women in finding food freedom and being more confident in themselves. But I hope to never come from that place of, you're screwed up, you're broken, you don't look great the way you are, so come to me and I'll help you. I think, again, that's not starting from the right place. And I think a lot of it is mindset. A lot of it is the energetics behind things, because I think no matter what we're talking about, we're coming from this place that is not really operating out of that self-love and seeing the truth of things. Because truth is like you said, our worth is not defined by how we look. It's, you know, I've been a size 2, I've been a size 12 and everything in between. And I promise you that did not define my worth. That didn't define my happiness. That didn't define my success in life. And I think I'm going a little bit around your question, but I definitely agree, because I think it's interesting you made the point that there is maybe a healthy level balance, you could say, to maybe recognizing that I haven't been as active as I think I should or I would want to, or maybe I'm not eating as well as I could. That's not an unhealthy thing, but like with anything in life, it can kind of go back and forth in extremes. Like, for example, I was in the car driving for 12 hours yesterday. Do I recognize in my mind that is a lot of time of sitting? Yes. But I'm not going to operate out of my old self of like beating myself up for that, and just kind of coming to this place of just guilt and just not a good feeling place. I see it as it's one day of my life, and it's moving me towards a beautiful goal of moving to where I want to live and all these other things, and focusing on all the other beautiful things that happened yesterday. So again, it's really about perspective.
Totally. Definitely. And so what I know of you is a very healthy perspective about lifestyle, about food, and about activity and all of that. Has that always been the case, or how have you grown into this point?
Definitely was not always the case. This is something I really think that a part of my calling, if you want to call it that, has been to come to this place because of where I started and the family I grew up in. I could probably write a book about this, so I'll try to keep it short. But no, essentially, I did not start with that perspective. I always struggle a little bit talking about where things started to become unhealthy because it involves family and you always want to be sensitive. But I think I can speak to a lot of people's experiences and the fact that our mothers unfortunately had a really unhealthy relationship with food and their body. Mine in particular has always struggled with an eating disorder, and I'm one of 3 daughters. And so you can tell that it's very possible for her things to kind of trickle down onto us, and that's what happened. And it's funny because I don't look back at it as a curse or a reason for me to hate her or whatever, because I truly think that for whatever reason along the way, I learned to lean into what I could get out of this and how I could grow out of it. And I think for me, the turning point was just realizing, like, hold on, this doesn't feel good. I want to like my body. I'm tired of this. I remember being in high school and just looking around and feeling like there weren't as many people around me, many girls around me who, were struggling with the same anxieties or dislikes in their body or whatever it is, the confidence. And I think I just decided, like, I don't want it to be this way. And I really think we overthink things. I think we overthink the process. We overthink what's right or wrong. I really believe there's so much power in coming to, again, just an awareness. And my awareness was realizing all the little not so great things that were going on as far as my relationship with food, body, and the people in my family around me that were dealing with the same things, and just realizing I wanted it to be different, because I think when you shift it, automatically my course adjusted. Mm-hmm. Sure, it took some specific things of researching, like what's maybe the best way to eat to make my body feel well, and things like exercising when I could, and there's always the practical logistics of things. I graduated from the world's largest nutrition school, so I definitely know facts, but I think that facts aren't as important as maybe some other things at first.
Yeah. And your mindset is killer. So however the path brought you, it's got to be tough, but like you say, you embrace it as part of what got you here. And I think we all need to do that. We all have kind of a food story. If we haven't arrived at this place of peace with our lifestyle, I think there is a process. I think that's what I'm in right now. I think that's the awareness. That's the place I'm at. I'm kind of at this new level of awareness of where I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I appreciate that. So you, if you don't mind me saying so, you have an autoimmune disorder, correct?
Yes.
And so that's kind of part of your journey as well, I'm sure, in putting your lifestyle together. But when you're not on the road and when you're able to be settled somewhere, what does an ideal day look like for you in the way that you would personally care for yourself?
I think it's good that you're addressing this question, because I think earlier I said that you always, when you've struggled with something, now you get to have the awareness of how that can kind of pop up back in your life. And I think that question in a way triggers me a little, because I think it's important to, even health coaches, even doctors, therapists, any expert in anything has their own journey. And this is part of my journey, because I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's in August. So it's been a pretty recent thing, not so recent symptoms. So that's been definitely part of my journey to kind of to find my place in and to find the healing that I need in. And so I expect there's going to be a lot of opportunity to kind of give myself grace of experimenting a little bit of what works, because it's not always as simple as having the right blender and the right ingredients and the right cookbook or recipes or protocol. I think because of certain lifestyle circumstances and where I'm living and who I'm living with and all these things, it's going to be kind of interesting to find, you know, what goes on. But again, long answer short, I have been eating plant-based since probably I was 16. And I just find that way of eating, it's not very specific. That can go in a lot of different directions, but that way of eating seems to serve me best. And as far as research with my autoimmune condition, that's also generally what everyone agrees on, is more plants, more fruits, more veggies, and less processed, less, you know, meat and all that other stuff. So again, it's about finding what's best for you. But generally, as far as an ideal day for me is of eating an activity, I usually feel best eating a little lighter in the morning. Again, people are different, and that's usually when I have a smoothie or a green juice or something. But my smoothies are usually an excuse for me to get in a lot of vegetables at one time. So I've been known to put in like zucchini and spinach and all these things in my smoothies, which, by the way, kids wouldn't taste, so it's a good tip. So yeah, I'm not sure I know how to answer that question as well. I can follow up with you.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you're right about, I see you eating plant-based. I observe, this is what I observe. I observe you eating plant-based, and also giving yourself maybe on I wouldn't say it's an ideal day, but even on special occasions, you say it's okay to enjoy food that is traditional for your family if it doesn't jeopardize your health. Yeah, that's okay. I think,
totally.
I get leery of the conversation about like falling off the wagon, that language, falling off the wagon, or what was the other one I had thought of the other day? Something similar though. Oh, cheat day and falling off the wagon. And I think that implies that food is bad. So I see you just seeing like, in general, food is good, and I feel best when I do X, Y, Z. So yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think our bodies are good, right? Our life is good. And you hear people talking about, you know, it's a lifestyle, not a diet. And as cliche as that can be, that's really what it is. Because I can give you a very specific example where my mind went. The other night, some of my family were willing to go out to dinner, celebrate me moving and this big life thing. And I was kind of just existing in the love of that, the gratitude that we were able to come together. They wanted me to choose a place to eat. And where I came from, there weren't a lot of places that I would maybe be psyched about, you know, as far as food that's plant-based, but also that I get excited about, right? So I chose this pizza place that has vegan options of pizza, but it's pizza. And most people would look at that as like, oh my gosh, I would have looked at that. Years ago, I would have seen like, this is going to make me fat, or I'm falling off the wagon. But I think I'm just so grateful that I'm at this place now where it's like, first of all, logistically, one meal is not going to alter your course, right? One conversation with someone, one breakup, one whatever it is not ever going to just completely derail where you're at in life. And I think it's also an opportunity to kind of strengthen your grace muscle, because you can get so caught up in a way that you think is healthy, and it may be what makes you feel best. But if you start finding you have anxiety around the idea of eating something off that plan or off that normal way of eating, it can be kind of a good exercise for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, again, I think it's, what's the wagon, right? Like, what are we falling off of? This is our life. This is our body. And if you want to have, like, again, a more factual idea of things, there's a lot of people who go by the 80-10-10 rule, or the 90-10, or the 80-20 of like 80% of the time you're eating the way that makes you feel best, but then maybe 20% of the time you're giving yourself some leeway to to experiment or to have fun with family friends rather than stressing over what's on the menu.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially for someone who is, I think we go through times of being maybe hyper conscious of what we're eating,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe sometimes of being in denial of what we're eating. For the times of consciousness, you're right. Strengthen the grace muscle. I love that. I'm going to use that when I promote this video later.
You have permission.
I love it. I will give you credit. I love it. I love it. Let's see. I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. In the coming months, what things do you see yourself maybe looking to do more of, health-wise? I know you're moving. That's probably going to play partly into it.
Yes, for myself, you're asking?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I like that. I've liked all your questions. I like being interviewed.
Good. You're a great guest.
I think the way I feel this season being for me is kind of, I think it's an interesting lesson for people, because how we feel is not just based off of, and right, like our health, essentially what we attribute that with is how we feel. Are we feeling good? Or are we feeling not? And it's not all about food. And I think this will be a beautiful season of kind of revealing that to myself again, that relationship and career, all these things that light us up are just as important. Those are just as important as the food that's on our plate, right? And I think that this is going to be a great season of me nourishing those other areas in my life. So as far as my health, it's going to look like probably seeing a lot of benefit from interacting with people that inspire me, and kind of creating new relationships and new opportunities for myself, and saying yes to things that maybe I didn't have the opportunity to before. Even this opportunity to speak to you and to talk about something that really lights me up and I feel like really serves others, that's something that is so good for my health. So I think it's important I think that in itself allows people to have more grace, because then you can kind of take a step back and not put all your pressure on food, right?
Totally. Yeah, that's a great point. And as you make new relationships, I'm imagining that some of them will probably be just the activity of enjoying nature. And guys, she's not just moving, she's moving across country. So you're making a full move from, am I right, from Florida to California, right?
Yes, I am.
So it's completely cross country, and there'll be a lot of new nature to take in and enjoy as part of your wellness, I feel like. So.
Oh, yes. So, yeah. Okay. More logistically, I see myself doing a lot of hikes, which I'm very excited about, because don't get me wrong, I love Florida. I see its beauty, but there's really just beaches and taking walks on beaches, and that's beautiful. Like, get out in nature. That's 100% something. If you want to have a goal in 2020, make it something like that, something that's kind to yourself and that's only going to give you benefit. So definitely being out in nature is going to be something that I think increases. I'll also have the ability to eat a lot more fun plant-based foods. You know, I've been used to cooking everything that I eat for the past, almost 7 years. So it's really fun to be able to enjoy food that other people like as well. So those are things that are going to definitely make me feel good in the next few months.
More plant-based culture there for restaurant and things. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be cool. That's amazing. That's so good. From your influence, I would say, it's just my personal note, I'm kind of the opposite in how I eat. Like, I need a heavy breakfast. I need heavy protein breakfast, or I don't make it. Like, I run out of steam real fast. I decided to have a piece of sourdough this morning during some client work, and I was about to fall asleep. I'm like, I can't do this. I have to have protein in the morning. I can't. I'm going to pass out.
Yeah.
But then later in the day, I think because of your influence, maybe started eating a lot more plant-based through the day. And I have another friend who's very plant-based. So it's good to have those influences in my life, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I love your perspective and I guess heart and wisdom around it all, because I think the thing that comes along with diets and shame and guilt and whatever is claiming that one way is the highway. It's the best way.
Thank you.
The highest way, and it's not It's not
Yes.
the case, because if it was, no one on this planet, within reason, within financial means, would be struggling with their health, and would be going back and forth so often around dieting and whatever. So that's another conversation, but
You're absolutely right, though. So true. It's so true. I would like to see more people in 2020 embrace a little bit of all the food groups, unless it's, unless it's unethical to them. As much as they're ethically allowing themselves, I would like to see them cross all the food groups off their list in a balanced way, myself included. So even if it means that my waistline looks a little different than it did before. Yeah. I just know in the good sense, in the bottom of my heart, that it's time, and this was my other realization too. I think you have said something to this effect. I said this in yesterday's my little monologue video, but however my body looks when I am eating nutritious food and am being active, that's actually how it's supposed to look. So when I am focused in a graceful way, focused on healthy activity, and I'm doing that, whatever my body looks like when I'm doing those things, that's just how it's supposed to look. To me, that's a whole new realization for me, to be like, because before, short of a full-on eating disorder, I mean, I had some disordered patterns, and I would eliminate food groups, and I would do things that really probably were too extreme for what was good sense, just because I had a size I wanted to maintain. And I still would love that, but whatever I'm doing when I am having healthy habits, that's how my body's supposed to look. I'm going to go with that, I think.
I love that. And I think maybe to give people a little bit more of an idea, because I understand I can talk a little bit in esoteric general terms, and sometimes people just want to know more clear. When I say, and when you were just talking about how don't be cutting out food groups because of a fear around it, because of a fear of, well, that's not good for me, or someone else says it's not good, or it's going to make me fat, or whatever. I hate that word, but like for me, for example, I don't eliminate dairy and meat out of my diet because of fear, or because of those reasons. I started eliminating dairy out because it didn't make me feel physically well. It would make me have issues, lactose intolerant, people are familiar with that. And as far as meat, I literally had never had a desire to eat it. I grew up eating meat because that's what my mom cooked, but I never had an attachment to it. So for me, it just became more of an ethical thing. Now, if I started recognizing a fear around that, or like I said earlier, an anxiety around eating it, then maybe that's something I should experiment a little with, just to kind of give you an idea, and the audience a little bit more of a clear example.
That's smart. I get that. Yeah, definitely. And I think there's something too, like we have food intolerances, but there's something too, I think, about being a gracious guest in someone's home, where we might have a way of life that is ideal to us to maintain. And you go to someone's house and that's not what they're having that night.
Right.
But allowing yourself a moment to have what this person has gone to the trouble to, and be thoughtful to prepare for you, as long as it's not something that's going to make you ill, or something like that. I think there's something to be said for that too. I know I have so many weird food allergies and sensitivities that I'm already a pain in the butt to cook for. Yeah. So anything that they make within my allowed foods, I probably need to just go with,
Right. That's a really good point, and that's definitely another thing to kind of learn and grow through. Something I definitely was learning and growing through. So,
yeah, it's weird to later in life realize things about your eating that, or maybe as a child you could tolerate some things. I know I could, and then later it just changes, and it's like, what is this new life? But you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So even though you're moving across country, I know that you have the ability to coach women, as we talked about, to empower them through their health. And they can probably do that through online means, right? To connect with you. So if someone wants to connect with you, first, I think they should be following you, because you provide wonderful, valuable, empowering information all the time. And even in your stories, I love how you share. And when she's around family, when she's around kids too, she has nieces and she's like taking care of them, helping them eat healthy. And it's really cute and gives me good ideas. People should already go follow you at Hungry for Whole, but how else could someone work with you as a coach?
You know, social media is great these days, and I don't shy away from just how we can connect so easily through that. So honestly, follow me. You can always DM me, comment on something. There's a million ways to connect. You could send an email to hungryforwhole@gmail. So it's just my Instagram handle with Gmail. Yeah, I mean, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I have been able to kind of put myself out on social media and connect with people because, you know, I've worked with people in Paris. I've worked with people just all over the place. And I think it's beautiful because it shows us all that, like, first of all, you're never alone. There's always someone else that has gone through your experience. There's always also someone who can help you through that experience. And yeah, so I see myself as a great resource for, you know, anyone who is struggling with food issues and not really stepping into their power and their body and feeling confident, because that's really what it is. But I think what's interesting is I don't think those things are separate from anything else in our life. I've had people come to me for completely different reasons, but then we kind of dug a little deeper and found out that there really were some self-worth issues, and maybe that was causing issues with their relationship with food and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, whether it's working with you or me or anyone else, I just I encourage you to kind of just trust the pings, trust the little things that are making you interested and curious about someone. I mean, that's what you and I did together, Jenny. So whether it's a friendship or professional thing or asking for help, know that you're always worth it to ask for it. And to not see shame in where you're at, because I've definitely been in interesting seasons, and I'm sure you have too. And it would have been great if I knew that there was an easier way to work with people. So yeah, I have my Instagram. My website is not currently active because I'm just kind of shifting a few things, and there's not much need for it. Sure. For me at least. So yeah, usually I do sessions with people over the phone or over the computer through Zoom or something. So it's very, very accessible. And currently I have a kind of big project I've been working on. It's really just a great, big, hefty program that is really going to help people find that freedom with food struggles and body image and all that kind of stuff. And establish self-worth. So that is one clear package I have right now, but a lot of the times I just do things intuitively and kind of figure out what I think is going to best serve people, and go from there. So
I think it's amazing. I think anybody would be blessed to work with you. I've been coached by Aleah too, and I can just vouch for her that she's, like she says, she is intuitive. That's not really something you can put on paper, so I'll just say it for you. Like, I always think it's funny, like when you're doing a resume or something, you can't put, I'm intuitive. No, but you are, and it's a valuable skill. Empathetic, intuitive, and that helps so much. And I think you ask the right questions to get people to their core of what's going on internally. And I think anybody would be blessed to work with you. So if anyone is seeing this and feels like this is an area they would like to see themselves grow, whether it's today, you're not falling off any wagon. If you don't do it today, do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. And get a grace-filled perspective on health and mindset, and you would be blessed to work with Aleah. So I thank you so much, Aleah, for doing this interview and chatting with me and giving me grace as I learned through this process too. And I hope we have more of them in the future.
Oh, I would love to. I'm so grateful that you thought of me and that this could work out in my cozy little Airbnb in San Antonio, Texas.
Please be safe as you travel. And I look forward to connecting with everybody watching right now. We'll see you soon. Don't forget to join the Facebook event in my bio if you want to hear more of the conversation this week. Bye.
All right. Bye.